criminals. His pledge to remove dangerous undocumented immigrants comes as a number of sanctuary cities in this country are doubling down on defiance, vowing to buck federal regulations when Mr. Trump is in office. One of them, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, saying his city will defend immigrants in a letter reading, in part, quote, "I want to assure all of our families that Chicago is and will remain a sanctuary city. Chicago has been a city of immigrants since it was founded. We have always welcomed people of all faiths and backgrounds, and while the administration will change, our values and our commitment to inclusion will not." John Torres is the former acting director of Homeland Security for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the chief operating officer of Security and Technology Consulting. John, thanks for joining us. What did you make of Rahm Emanuel's move there to put out this letter to the residents of Chicago, assuring them that the city will remain a sanctuary one? Okay, so we have some audio problems right now with John Torres. We'll get him back for you. Sometimes this happens. It's live TV, but they're a big, important subject that we definitely want to get to. We'll bring it to you on the other side of the break when we get John back on. Going back to a story now that we reported earlier this hour on sanctuary cities, President-elect Donald Trump providing new details about his plan to combat illegal immigration, saying it will start with deporting criminals. John Torres is the former acting director of Homeland Security for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and the chief operating officer of Security and Technology Consulting. Good of you to join us. What do you make, first of all, of the mayor of Chicago, a city that is facing a crime epidemic? I mean, 2 of the last weekends, 50 people killed in each weekend. It doesn't seem to be getting any better. And hear the timing of this to make a statement like that. Your thoughts?
My thoughts are that the city of Chicago should be using every tool at their disposal to try to make the city safer, to really focus on public safety. And if that means coming to some sort of compromise with ICE so that they can focus on the worst criminals, then maybe they should consider that.
So will we see more cities follow suit here? We've got statements from the mayor of Los Angeles, New York City, Mayor Bill de Blasio, all coming out after Trump was elected and making these statements about their cities and that we will be making no changes to our sanctuary city laws.
I think that it's a knee-jerk reaction, considering that there are varying degrees of sanctuary cities. At my time at the agency, and even the legacy agency, the Immigration Naturalization Service, I work with a number of city officials to focus on what would be the best blueprint for each of those cities or jurisdictions. It's not a one-size-fits-all. There are different types of threats and different types of risks associated with each location. And I think it would be a mistake to just boilerplate and carte blanche say no and take that tool out of their disposal.
John, I mean, it does really appear, I mean, just in a few days after he was elected president, it does appear that some of these sanctuary cities are digging in for a fight with Donald Trump. What does January 1st look like? What does it look like come January when Donald Trump is in the White House? What are we going to see happen here?
I think one of the first things he's going to do is have whoever is in charge of ICE at that time rescind a priorities memo that limits the priorities and the focus on only the worst of the criminals. And I think what you're going to see happen is that ICE is going to start focusing on all criminals that are in custody or at large in the communities.
Wow. I mean, I just go back to Mayor Emanuel and this statement that he put out. I mean, it's facing just one of the worst times ever, one of the worst murder sprees ever over the weekend. The past 3 weekends, it's been awful. And here these people are looking for their mayor to assure that he's doing everything to fight crime in that city. And yet this press release that he issues, it mentions nothing about the crime in that city. So, John, what would you like to see happen?
What I'd like to see happen is the focus actually is targeted at how do you make your city safer. Yes, when people talk about sanctuary cities, they actually talk about, well, if you're not going to protect all witnesses out there, and these are people that may not have immigration status, if you're not going to protect them, they won't come forward to help solve crimes. But if you're going to do this type of step at the risk of creating more crimes, having recidivists out there who could have been removed from this country actually committing more crimes and more serious types of felonies,